Uh, Reading Fountainhead has always been a pleasure for me, and I think that this is an eye opening book. It helps you to find yourself. So, there are some interesting lines into it. I'm going to read some of them. So, the book is written by Ayn Rand, and Ayn Rand writes here that nothing is given to a man on earth. Everything he needs has to be produced. And here man faces his basic alternative. He can survive in only one of the two ways: by the independent work of his own mind, or as a parasite fed by the minds of others. The creator originates, the parasite borrows. The creator faces nature alone, the parasite faces nature through an intermediary. The creator's concern is the conquest of nature, the parasite's concern is the conquest of men. The creator lives for his work, he needs no other man. His primary goal is within himself. The parasite lives second hand. He needs others. Others become his prime motive. The basic need of creator is independence. The reasoning mind cannot work under any form of compulsion. It cannot be curbed, sacrificed, or subordinated to any consideration whatsoever. It demands total independence in function and in motive. To a creator, all relations with men are secondary. The basic need of a second hander is to secure his ties with the men in order to be fed. He places relations first. He declares that man exists in order to serve others. He preaches altruism. Altruism is the doctrine which demands that man live for others and place others above self. No man can live for another. He can share his spirit just as he cannot share his spirit, just as he cannot share his body. But the second hander has used altruism as a weapon of exploitation and reversed the base of mankind's moral principles. Men have been taught every precept that destroys the creator. Men have been taught dependence as a virtue. The man who attempts to live for other is dependent. He is a parasite in motive and makes parasite of those he serves. The relationship produces nothing but mutual corruption. It is impossible to in concept. The nearest approach to it in reality. The man who lives to serve others is the slave. If physical slavery is repulsive, how much more repulsive is the concept of civility of the spirit? The conquered slave has a vestige of honor. He has the merit of having resisted and of considering his condition evil. But but the man who enslaves himself voluntarily in the name of love is the basest of creature. He degrades the dignity of man and he degrades the conception of love. But this is the essence of altruism. Men have been taught that the highest virtue is not to achieve, but to give. Yet one cannot give that which has not been created. Creation comes before distribution, or there will be nothing to distribute. The need of creator comes before the need of any possible beneficiary. Yet we are taught to admire the second hander who dispenses gifts he has not produced above man who made the gifts possible. We praise an art of charity. We shrug at an act of achievement. Men have been taught that their first concern is to relieve the sufferings of others. But suffering is a disease. Should one come upon it, one tries to give relief and assistance. To make that the highest test of virtue is to make sufferings the most important part of life. Then man must wish to see others suffer in order that he may be virtuous. Such is the nature of altruism. The Creator is not concerned with disease but with life. Yet the work of Creator has eliminated one form of disease after another in man's body and spirit, and brought more relief from sufferings than any altruist could ever conceive. Men have been taught that it is a virtue to agree with others, but the Creator is the man who disagrees. Men have been taught that it is a virtue to swim with the current, but the Creator is the man who goes against the current. Men have been taught that it is virtue to stand together, but Creator is the man who stands alone. Men have been taught that the ego is a synonym of evil, and selflessness is ideal of virtue. But the Creator is the egotist in the absolute sense, and the selfless man is the one who does not think, feel, judge, or act. These are the functions of the self. Here is the basic reversal is most deadly. Here the basic reversal is most deadly. The issue has been perverted, and man has been left no alternative and no freedom. As the poles of a good and evil, he was offered two conceptions: egotism and altruism. This is very important: egotism and altruism. Egotism was held to mean the sacrifice of others to self, altruism, the sacrifice of self to others. This tied man irrevocably to other men and left him nothing but a choice of pain. His own pain borne for the sake of others, or pain inflicted upon others for the sake of self. When it was added that man must find joy in self immolation, the trap was closed. Man was forced to accept masochism as his ideal, under the threat that sadism was his only alternative. This was the greatest fraud ever perpetrated on mankind. This was the greatest fraud ever perpetrated on the mankind. This was the device by which dependence and sufferings were perpetuated as fundamentals of life. The choice is not self-sacrifice or domination. The choice is independence or dependence. The code of creator or the code of the second hander. This is the basic issue. The rest it rests upon the alternative of life or death.